People always look at the movement output of what's happening, but we don't realize that actually, again, as far as our brains developed, it's decided anything that came first is more important. So the visual system is going to be more important than the systems coming after that decide how to move. And that kind of makes sense. If you don't know, why would you move if you didn't know what you were moving towards?
Yeah.
Or, maybe there were organisms that just sort of randomly moved around and eventually found food, but the ones who were able to target themselves specifically were going to have a better time. So the brain would put more energy into seeing things and finding things, and then the movement is the secondary purpose. Same for the vestibular system. Once we got out of water and onto land, anything that falls over and smacks its head off a rock or the ground is wiped out almost immediately. It doesn't work anymore. So you need a system that's very strong, that's going to keep you upright, and then you need to then you want to do the movement afterwards. I kind of think like the FRC example is a little bit like if you're in a sensory deprivation tank and you're allowed all the movement you want. Well, what would you do?
Yeah.
Probably just lie there. You can't hear anything, you can't see anything.
Don't know which way is up, you just float about doing nothing.
Yeah. And actually the sensory deprivation is probably a good example of how important vision is again, because when you go into those things and you can't see anything, a lot of people report hallucinating, and that's just the brain's way of going, oh crap, I don't see anything.
We need to see something.
Yeah, I need to be able to see something. I don't survive unless I can see what's going on. I'm going to imagine my best guess based on all the memories that you have. I'll imagine my best guess of what you should be seeing.
That's it.
Which goes horribly wrong. But yeah.
And not to say things like FRC and stuff, it's great, but it is just a small piece of the whole bigger picture. Like if you go into a room and you're able to see and the lights are on and it's nice and bright, you're able to move. Okay, and you've got all your range of motion. But if you turn out the lights and it's pitch dark, you'll instantly find it hard to move, no matter how many degrees of range you've got in your shoulders or your hips. Because you can't see, you're going to still find it hard to move.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of, I like to keep that sort of that in mind for everyone, just that there are other systems that are more important in relation to movement.
Yeah, and even other systems like smell, I think. Also, Andrew Huberman talked recently about experiments where if you put a pleasant versus an unpleasant smell in the room, and people's automatic movement systems will move them away from the unpleasant smells and towards the pleasant ones, even if they're not aware that they're doing it. So when they're blindfolded as a group, they see everybody collectively start moving towards, again, what might be food and away from what might not be. And as the example as well of like, we want to know what we can eat and what not, and once we can orient ourselves, then the next thing we want to do is remember where the food was. So smell ends up being really really closely connected with memory, because we need to remember what was good for us that we could eat and where it was, so we can go back and find that again. So all of those things connect, and actually we don't really mind how we get there. So we can move in, you can move towards the food in any way. So you can walk, crawl, run, whatever movement options you have available to you, you are free to do, but the important thing is just knowing where it is and knowing how to get there.
Yeah, and as I say, good movement will come from the range of things. It'll come from other senses, other sensory input, and other interpretation of it, and that'll generate the output of movement. Bad movement can also come from that. You might have nothing wrong with your joints and that, but suffer a bit of pain because the other system, or anxiety, or headaches, whatever, you might suffer something detrimental because the other systems aren't in tune